Namaste Krishna Rao garu. Welcome to IYRTalks English channel, and on an international scenario, we just want to have your reflections on a very good issue which is raging between India and Iran for few years, that is Chabahar port. There is an agreement and an understanding for the next 10 years India is going to manage that for betterment of imports and and for ease of doing business in India. We have an alternative route, but because that route is always susceptible to a lot of extremism and then disruptions and all that. So now since India is now going to go into really a golden period of 5 years, this agreement should definitely give fillip to the Indian economy by allowing imports in an alternative route and see that the material is reached to the manufacturers in time, whether be it in oil or be it a raw material, a bore or anything. So what do you think? And only one little suspicion is that if India has agreed to this agreement, whether there are going to be any sanctions on India. So on this, your reflection.
This Chabahar port and India's involvement is going on for the last 1 decade. The reason is we do have a possibility of an alternative land corridor, but there are geopolitical problems. The land corridor between Central Asia, Russia to India runs through Afghanistan and Pakistan. And Pakistan naturally is not interested in extending its helping arm in that. Afghanistan, as you know, is a country where there is no stability. So that route is more or less available, not available to India. So how do you have a second alternative to this? Otherwise, everything has to go through that Baltic Sea, North Sea, and then come all the way around whole of Europe into India, if it can come through Suez Canal. But with these Houthi rebels threatening that route all through the Good Hope and Africa and come to India, which is very, very costly. So this alternative route is something that India has been exploring for the last 1 decade, and a lot of effort has gone into this Chabahar port. This Chabahar port has become a good point for us to get a lot of minerals from Africa. And as long as Africa was being ruled by Afghanistan, as long as Afghanistan was being ruled by a regime which was friendly with America, America was also willing to waive off the sanctions to build that railroad connectivity connecting Chabahar port to Afghanistan, so that all those things can be excavated. In addition to this Afghanistan railroad connectivity, there is another north-south corridor which is going on, which can link Russia and Central Asia with India, either to Chabahar port or the existing other, I think that is Bandar Abbas or some port is there, which is the main port of Iran. But compared to that other port of Iran, Chabahar is better because it can take much bigger container ships and others, and has a deep sea there. It's a deep port. So that's a more preferred port. We were trying to get in there, but were also weighing the possibilities of sanctions from America, because it is the best link for us to connect us with whole of Central Asia and with Russia. When we were wavering, China was willing to step into that place. If China steps into that place, we are gone. So that seems to be one reason why we have hurried and now signed this deal of long-term deal of 10 years to develop this Chabahar port. And from there, of course, a railroad connectivity to Russia and to the Central Asia, so that you can have assured supply of minerals and others. And this is being done at a time when we have really developed our ports. Our ports have taken off in the last decade because of the focus Modi has put on infrastructure. In fact, this latest edition of Economist contains a full article on this, how Indian ports have really taken off in the last decade and are handling double, triple container traffic, both at Bombay port as well as Kandla port and other ports as well. With the development of Indian ports and a backward linkage in terms of road rail connectivity, and also with Andaman Nicobar, the port there now being developed to handle transshipment of containers on a large scale. I mean, that's going to compete in days to come with Singapore and other places. This particular thing becomes all the more important. Of course, this hanging of sanctions from America are always there, but this one particular project we can convince America also for a waiver of sanctions, because if we don't enter and seal the deal for Chabahar, this will also be taken over by China. China already has deep interest in Gaudar, I think, Gaudar port of Baluchistan, which is in Pakistan, which is linking up with its an alternative land route to China through occupied Kashmir and other places. So this Chabahar to that extent becomes all the more important for us. And this sanctions thing, maybe if we can convince America about this Chinese angle, they may not really put sanctions on us. And I think it's part of a much bigger India decade, let's say. And Iran is also really cooperating with us. That's a good thing about this Chabahar port.
Thank you very much for the input, sir. Thank you.